Yo, what's up? It's Happy Hour on A2D Radio, and we're powered by the doc. That is Dr. Paul Vidal at Specialized Physical Therapy LLC with two locations in Burlington and Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Check out the doc. Make them yours. SpecializedPhysicalTherapy.com. I'm stepping in for Mattson Sudi. When nature calls, we have some bad rainstorms right now. He's having some connectivity issues, but he'll be on in just hopefully a few short moments. That's Brian Daly and Brad Ryer centering. Top line is yours truly, Rob Povia. Not Cutter Gauthier. He won't be centering much of anything. According to Danny Briere, he's the left winger. We'll get into all that and more. It's obviously huge news on the Flyers front, on the NHL front, too, when you're talking about former top 5, top 6 draft picks in the 2020s being dealt for each other. So we're going to go into the ins and outs of the trade that shook Philly yesterday. We're also going to be previewing Flyers Habs going down at the Well tomorrow evening. That's Wednesday, 7 p.m. Then we'll go and take a step around the league. It's getting, boys, the calendar's turned. It's 2024. We got to start talking about who are our contenders and who are our pretenders when it comes to making the playoffs. So we're going to get into all this and more. Thanks for tuning in, as always. And tonight's face-off brought to you by you got to check out Royal Billiards and Recreation. They're the coolest place for all your game room and man cave needs. For the last 41 years, the family-owned business has been the premier game room store of the Delaware Valley, stocked with the very best in pool tables and accessories, shuffleboards, card tables, dart supplies, bars, and bar stools. You got to have the bar stools with the bar so you can turn any ordinary room into an extraordinary gaming experience. Oh, did we mention they have hot tubs too? Stop by Royal Billiards, located at 515 Bethlehem Pike in Colmar, Pennsylvania, or on the web at royalbilliards.com for everything fun for your home and office. And you can also check them out if you missed any of that as I sped through that, stepping in for Mattson Sudi tonight. We're going to be playing you their ad midway through tonight's extravaganza. So, boys, what say you on this trade? In terms of this deal, Flyers fleece the Ducks in the Jamie Drysdale trade. Agree or disagree?
I'm on the fence on this one because there's still some things that need to be figured out on the Anaheim side of this deal. Obviously, we know what the Flyers are getting in Jamie Drysdale. It's been talked about at nauseum. We're going to talk about it a little bit more, so you better get used to it now. So you're getting a 21-year-old right-handed premium defender. We know that. We know we're getting a power play quarterback. He's going to be so huge for this power play. He's going to need an adjustment period for sure coming into this. But as far as getting fleeced, it's going to depend on if Cutter decides he's going to sign with Anaheim or not. That's going to be the deciding factor on whether or not Anaheim is fleeced. Because obviously you're getting a defenseman to help now for the Flyers. You're getting a second-round pick as well. For Anaheim, you're getting a scoring left winger who can play center or a center who can play left wing, however you want to word it. He can play both positions. Now, does he sign? Is Anaheim a place that he wants to be? There's so much unknown in this trade and what went down, and there's very little information coming out about why. I get everybody, I get the hate. He wanted out of Philly. There's a reason. What was it? Personally, I don't know. There's a lot of speculation out there that Kevin Hayes was in his ear and told him to get out of Philly, which he's already come out.
It's true.
Multiple. Yeah. It might be. He's come out and he's already said that he doesn't even talk to him. Is it a developmental thing? Did he not like the developmental plan that Danny Briere had in place for him? Could be. Is it something like I saw something that Elliot Friedman put out there? There wound up being like some kind of overage tax if he had signed his contract at the end of last season. That's another thing. There's so many different things that could have been the sole reason for him wanting to be out of Philadelphia. I don't think he wanted to leave Philadelphia. I think he was actually genuinely happy to be here because it was an opportunity for him. I just don't think the opportunity was going to be what he wanted it to be. And I get all the name calling. I get all the hatred. I get it. But in that same breath, what led to it? Now, again, we're going to jump back to make it relevant to the poll. If Cutter finds Anaheim suitable, and he does sign the ELC, I think it's a dead even trade. Because both teams work out. They get positions of need. Anaheim needs scoring. They're going to get it with Cutter. Philadelphia really kind of needed a little bit more defensive help. And they're going to get it with Jamie Drysdale. It's all good. Again, question is Cutter going to sign in Anaheim? That's the end result. Nothing else matters right now. Will he sign? That's the question. That's going to determine whether or not this is a fleecing or not.
Oh, yeah. That's a big proponent of it. Matthew, welcome. Good
Welcome.
evening. How are you, sir? I'm glad you have power and you're on streaming with us.
Yes, I am. I'm very glad with that, too. And the only reason why I delayed, by the way, for the fam out there, I had to go to the bathroom at a very inconvenient time.
Maddie, I already covered your tracks that you're having connectivity issues. Roll with it. Come on.
No. I don't like to lie to the fam. I'd rather tell them embarrassing things about myself so that way they feel better about their lives. So, anyway.
Fair. You can't argue that.
But I do appreciate the legwork there. That I do appreciate. So, obviously, from what I was hearing coming in, we were talking about Cutter Gauthier and what's happened over the last 24 hours of him no longer being a Flyers prospect, now in the camp of Anaheim. Well, Jamie Drysdale's over here, so...
Actually with the team now.
Yes! Mm-hmm. Officially. Hopefully the loss to the Penguins was not an omen. But, anyway...
Hey, omens aren't always a bad thing.
It's a good point. It's true.
You were doing to lose to the Penguins anyway.
Right. We did sweep them in a home and home. I'm pretty sure they didn't forget that.
Yeah. I mean, you had to expect that the Penguins you couldn't expect to win all 4 games against the Penguins this year, could you?
I don't think the Flyers have done that in decades. So,
Yeah, I don't think anybody sweeps the Penguins in all 4. It would win 4 straight against the Penguins.
So, I mean, they said it was 2009 was the last time that they wound up winning just 3 in a row against the Penguins?
Right. That wasn't even the whole series of the season. So,
exactly.
But, anyway, I guess, did everybody give their points on Cutter or...
Just Brian, so why don't you jump in, brother? Give yours, and I'll round it out, and then I'll be done with the lead, and it'll be all yours.
Okay.
Please.
So, the trade here, I'm not gonna lie. When I first heard it, I was not happy about it. I thought, oh, great, we just threw a prospect to Anaheim that could have really turned into something. But then as the reports started coming out and it started to become a little bit more clear that Cutter wasn't even talking to the team, it's like, well, what other option did they have at this point? If he ain't talking to you, you might as well trade him and get something for him. So with that, it is what it is. I hope Jamie Drysdale, fingers crossed, even with his injury history, achieves his potential and then some for the Flyers here. And, we did get also a draft pick on top of it, so we got a little extra thrown in there for us. And, in those kind of circumstances, what are you going to do? The kid doesn't want to play here. There's nothing you can do about it. You could try and try and try again, but if he ain't talking to you, he ain't talking to you. And by the way, one final thing I want to say, too. Everybody out there who attacked Kevin Hayes the very next day by throwing death threats at him, and on top of that, saying horrible comments that they were happy that his brother died, fuck you. Fuck you for that. You are a piece of human shit. Fuck off.
Are you serious?
Yes.
People did that. Why?
did that.
You don't even know if it's true or not. And even if, let's say it is, and I don't mean to be disagreeable with you, Brian, right? But I think, he does have some ties with BC. I could see it, right? In the end, it's a kid's decision who's a shifty kid and has shown that, at first, I want to be a Flyer. So you draft him this a month after they hired John Tortorella, and then you don't want to play for John Tortorella all of a sudden, right? Well, that just represents shiftiness that I want no part of anyway.
Right. Right. But that's just something I wanted to throw out there because, that really bugged me when I heard that. When I heard that Hayes was getting attacked for no reason. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't even...
The problem is douchebags like Anthony D. Filipino or whatever the fuck his name is at Carlson Broad start shit saying that he has sources, this, that, and the other, close to the situation, saying Kevin Hayes forced him out. No. Kevin Hayes has come out on 3 different platforms and said that he had no communication with the kid. One was Twitter with Ryan Whitney of Spit and Chicklets, and then two other guys on Twitter. I have the tweets right here. It's ridiculous. Like, people believe everything they hear from every other source, but most of it isn't true.
Yeah.
Carlson Broad puts a lot of false information out there. They
Right.
do.
Right.
Doesn't mean it's necessarily true. We're in an era right now where people put out information, whether it's true or not, to get clicks. That's all they care about. That's what makes us better. We don't do that.
Yeah.
Right.
We don't do that stuff. We're We're by the fan, for the fan. We're here for conversation. We're not here to put out false information.
Right.
No point to it. No point to it.
Nobody really knows what happened, guys.
No one.
Right.
Cutter's the only one
He
who knows.
really knows. Maybe.
And if it were Hayes, knowing who Hayes is, right, he would say, all right, don't play for them and go tell them that you're not going to play. Be a stand-up guy. I know Kevin Hayes is a stand-up guy. No disrespect. Okay, he didn't perform for us, but he's still a stand-up guy. And he'd say, let it be known so that way they could either, trade you, and it reduces the chance of, the Flyers easily could have just strung this kid out. They own his rights for 2 more seasons to where you're not going to be playing in the NHL unless you're playing for us. They didn't do that. They gave him an opportunity to play. They tried to protect the kid, in Danny Briere's words. So, I mean, the bottom line is that I think it's a blessing in disguise.
Yeah. And, at the end of the day, the situation is what it is. And we'll get to the fam in a minute here. I just wanted to throw that out there to say, listen, even if Hayes talked to Cutter, like you were saying, Rob, even whether he's said to be a stand-up guy or not, you know what? That still doesn't give you the right to do that.
They broke off all contact. They let their brass fly all the way to Sweden, right, to support him in the World Juniors and try to talk to him and work something out, and they don't even want to take a meeting. Who the hell are you? Who do you think you are?
Right. So, in the end, it is what it is. He didn't want to play here. The Flyers did what they could in the situation that they were given. It was, actually, Joey. Thank you for throwing that comment out there. Is he a Penguins fan? Oh, well, yeah. If he is, then, yeah, I could understand definitely why he doesn't want to play in Philadelphia. I'm not so sure if, to be honest, sometimes when you get older and you realize, you know what, they're offering me a contract, am I really going to deny myself playing on a rival team? You kind of throw your fandom out the window at that moment. Because
yeah, but you know how many players play on teams that are probably fans of the rival?
Right. I mean, come on now.
You're a professional hockey player. You're drafted into the league. What's up, Dave? All that stuff goes to the side. You can still sit there and root for the team that you're a fan of, but end of the day, when you're playing for the logo on your jersey. That's it.
Yeah, these college players, though, they can wait till their rights are up. I mean, we have 2 guys, the Rangers, that basically they grew up Ranger fans and wanted to play for the Rangers and wouldn't sign. Jimmy Vesey and Adam Fox.
Right.
I mean, Adam Fox got traded twice. Adam Fox was originally drafted by the Flames, and he said, "The heck with that, no way." And then they traded him to Carolina, and he's like, "Nah, I'm not playing there either." I'm a Ranger fan. I grew up in Long Island as a Ranger fan, and that's it. And you know what? The Rangers got him. I mean, these guys can sort of control if he really wants to play for the Penguins. Guess what, guys? That's where he's going to end up. But that's not to say that Anaheim can't turn around and fleece the Penguins for him. We're not going to know about this one for a while. I have a funny feeling personally with this. Somebody is really going to get stung with this trade. I don't know if it's the Flyers or if it's going to be the Ducks or maybe the Penguins. But somebody is going to get stung by this trade.
Because now that all this information's out there now, if Anaheim tries to trade him, his value's dropped. Not plummeted, but you're not going to get the same return for Cutter Gauthier that the Flyers got.
That's not true. That's not true.
That's
Maybe if you try to trade him
no
now,
leverage.
maybe if you try to trade him now, but you know what? If they
No. Here's the thing: they have no leverage. The leverage is gone in the Cutter. Yeah, Anaheim has no leverage on Cutter Gauthier. So because now this is all blowing up, and everybody's catching wind of how Cutter did the Flyers dirty, no one's probably going to want to waste high value in him because what if he doesn't sign with us now?
You know what? I have a feeling that Anaheim may have talked to him before they made the trade. Would you like to come out and play there? I mean, listen, Anaheim is kind of a nice place to play, is it not? Yeah. I mean, in California, it's nice and warm, and you can play golf all the time. I mean, it's
right. Not close to his home.
Were your guys brass over there in Sweden too? Because that's what it seemed like. This deal got done as soon as that tournament got wrapped up, and kind of arguably one of the MVPs of this tournament with 14 points, 12 assists, 2 goals. The Flyers did well to trade him at max time for them to get max value there. You'd think Anaheim would agree to it before they with a really good talent, Jamie Drysdale.
I mean, it had to have been. I don't know for sure if they were over in Sweden, but I mean, for this to really kind of move the way it did and kind of escalate and be kept under wraps the way they did, which is, first of all, incredibly impressive that there was no wind of anything going on. This literally came out of nowhere. And apparently it's been going down for like 6 months at least. I think that's what Keith Jones said.
What's funny?
Since last summer.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of the boycott of connection, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he hadn't even talked to the team since May.
Well, that's bad.
Yeah, when he's not even talking to you as far back as May, it's like, boy, that is not good.
He doesn't. They would have lost him for nothing if they didn't trade him.
Right.
Because then he'd be a free agent. Now it's Anaheim's problem. But the question is, does he want to play there, or is he going to pull an Adam Fox and tell 2 teams to stick it?
Well, I mean, Mighty Ducks for life, 44 said, because he's a diva, and I doubt he'll stick around here in Anaheim. The minute we start stinking, he'll want to ask for another trade, and Cutter has a big ego problem, apparently.
I said this before you jumped in there, Maddie. I don't necessarily. We don't know what the issue is. We don't. There could be many different things that's going on here. It could have been a developmental issue. It could have been a contract issue. It could have been maybe he wants to be closer to home, which is, I believe, Sundale, Arizona, which Anaheim's not far, but it's a lot closer than Philadelphia. Don't know. It's all speculation, and nobody's until I hear from Cutter Gauthier himself on what happened. It's obviously all speculation, but I don't necessarily know if anything that's out there is even remotely believable. We just have to. I guess we just have to hope that everything that went down, like as much as that was a absolute childish move by him to just completely cut ties with Danny and Jonesy. You just gotta hope it wasn't for selfish reasons.
Maybe Jonesy made a wisecrack he didn't like.
Will's is saying, I agree, because fuck that kid. So Rob, before we go further, you also said Cutter's a dog's name.
True story.
Before we dive into some of the points that the chat brought up, Robbie, I'll let you have the floor here to throw out your feelings on this whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just to comment on the trade overall, I mean, it's a great get for the Flyers. A right shot defenseman don't grow on trees. And, I mean, it's a good fit for what this team needs. He's a second round pick, you know. That's what gets me in this deal. It's for 2025, not this year. If it was for this year, then I would agree to the poll and say the Flyers fleeced them. But extending it to 2025, I say it's a fairly even deal. You know, assuming, like we said, Cutter signs in Anaheim, there's no guarantees. That shifty kid, but he's a talent. You know, there's no doubting about that, and he could really help what I think Anaheim need. I think you guys are very deep in terms of your defensive prospects. You guys also have a need that we have of a goal scorer that can play, you know, left wing. Some, you know, claim center. Some claim left wing. That's up to be determined. But he could contribute there and help there, and that's a loss for the Flyers. It's a disappointment. It's a bummer. But like I said, if this kid's character's shifty, it's probably a best case scenario. It's the reasons why I didn't want Patrick Laine. You know, as talented as he has, he's been a problem too. But I think another concern about this deal in terms of not being a fleecing is how it works for your team, right? So let's look at who's now got to come out of the lineup as you get Jamie Drysdale, because he's playing. I mean, he's healthy. He's shown he's been healthy over the past 10 games. He's playing. So you take Risto out of the lineup. You do need a kind of big body out there, but that would be the most likely candidate. I sense another deal's incoming soon to clear room for a position that's turned from a weakness to a strength this year unexpectedly. I mean, possibly for Sean Walker, who's on an expiring contract and could command a first or second round pick for this year. You know, that way you get a pick for next year and this year out of two separate deals. Ultimately, this deal is good as it ensures more long-term stability and scoring from the blue line, you know, because I feel that this is, you know, Drysdale, if he could prove that he could stay healthy, you know, he had that torn labrum in his shoulder. If he could prove that, he could be what Gauthier couldn't be in Philadelphia, and that's that right shot defenseman that could captain a power play. But, you know, in terms of this year, it's going to affect the chemistry that's been going on if you deal with Sean Walker, if you deal with Nick Steeler, and possibly other forwards. So it's, you know, it's bittersweet, but this has been the plan all along, right, boys?
Apparently. So, you know, it is what it is. You know, decisions have to be made. Tough decisions. This is what a rebuilding team does. And yes, The Flyers are still a rebuilding team. Don't let this season fool you. So, as we continue, we'll look at some of what the chat threw out here. Before we do, I'll jump in to the first period read here. If you're looking to buy or sell a home, or you have a change of career or brokerage, contact Alan Foy at eXp Realty. You can give him a call at 302-682-8820 or visit him at alan.foy at exprealty.com. Big step in life. Go to Alan Foy, make sure it's done right. Okay, gents, let's take a look and see what the fam's been saying here.
I'm done. I'm not producing anymore. Maddie's taking over. Yay!
We're a tag team effort here. We all pull our weight.
Yeah,
right. All because I had to take a holy shit. So
Speaking of pulling weight, right.
Right.
Would you lose about 5 pounds there, buddy?
I think so. My pants do feel
No, me la
looser
parte
now.
it's
So,
picante.
and let's see. Me Metal Mike was saying, why couldn't Cutter grow a pair and stick with the team? It is what it is, man. Flyers fan saying, and clearly he's a diva, very immature the way he handled all he had to after the World Juniors was to tell the front office, I'm ready to put in the work. He also said, Cutter's not going to last long in the NHL if he doesn't get his shit together in Anaheim, and damn shame, kid's got hella potential.
I did read that as this being a possible causation that he wanted to be playing for the Flyers last year. The Flyers said, no, stay in college, continue your development. delaying his NHL arrival by a year, that might have rubbed him the wrong way too. So, I mean and if that is the scenario, that's the only way that I'm somewhat sticking up for him, because being like, hey, I want to play in the NHL. If you don't want to play me, I want a team that does. And if that's the stance, okay, I see where you're coming from. But let's reel it back to your point, Maddie. You could handle it a heck of a lot better than he did.
Absolutely. But, kid, immature, clearly.
19, right?
Right. And, clearly not mature enough to handle something like that, if that is the case.
Yeah, and then to kind of piggyback off of that, if it was a situation where he did want to get signed after 2022, 2023, and the Flyers said no, maybe Elliot Friedman's report earlier about the overage penalty comes into play. Maybe that's another situation that rubs Carter the wrong way. Says, hey, listen, if this is how it's going to be, I want out.
It's a good point, actually. Penguin God Crosby fan saying, if Cutter pulled that shit here in Pittsburgh, Sid would chew his ass out pretty hard. I hate the Flyers, but damn, you guys got screwed by a kid who's got a serious ego problem. Fuck Cutter. And typical Canucks Dork saying, I agree 100%. Cutter ain't welcome here in Vancouver. The way he acted towards Danny Briere and Jones and Torts. Good luck, kids. You ruined your chances in the NHL. Slapshot. Yeah. Slapshot Blackhawk saying, I do feel bad for the Flyers fans. Bedard and Fantilli at least are sticking with their draft teams. Cutter is a bum. We don't want him in Chicago.
But didn't they not want to play where they were originally projected, and that's why they wound up being drafted the way they were drafted? But hey, they said it up front. Draft day back in 2022, Cutter's, I'm ready to wear the orange and black. And, Dan Briere, let's look at Dan Briere. Danny Briere was a player in this league that was a free agent, and then he immediately, he came out and said, my first choice was playing Philadelphia. So I can't understand who doesn't want to play in Philadelphia. This is news to me.
And to think, too, Briere had already proven that he could have gotten a sweetheart deal from the Buffalo Sabres if he really wanted to. The way he had played for them the previous couple of seasons prior to that, if he wanted to, he could have soaked them for a ton of money. But he chose to go to Philadelphia instead. And he played the longest amount of time there in Philly instead of staying in Buffalo.
Yeah, and that's the same idea with Adam Fantilli. The reason why that Adam chose Columbus over Anaheim was he wanted to be home, and he flat out told Anaheim that, said, you draft me, I'm not coming.
Right.
It's not so much the situation that bothers me, it's how the situation was handled by Cutter himself. Because if you can flat out just say, listen, I'm glad to be here. I'm happy you drafted me, but this isn't a place I want to be for reasons A, B, C. Can you please trade me? Not just, I don't want to be here. And then just cut ties completely.
Well, here's the thing, obviously. We can go back to
Maddie. We can go back to
crap.
Littering end, smoking the reefer.
Oh, Maddie froze. All right, who's taking over?
Well, I'll tell a little story real quick until he comes back, and I'll immediately stop as soon as he does. Let's look at what Drysdale now needs to do right now. He had packed and left for a road trip with your Ducks, Brian, that beginning in Nashville, rolling through Carolina and warmer Florida, plus DC, then returning to Cali for one more road contest versus the Sharks, and then, coming home. Now he gets rerouted to Philly. It's pretty cold and rainy here now, right, from Nashville. He may be there, he may be in the lineup tomorrow's game for Montreal. We'll see. But then he hits the road again with his new teammates, where the Flyers are heading to Minnesota, pretty cold. Winnipeg, very cold. St. Louis, I'm betting probably pretty cold. And that's 3 games and 4 days on the road. Homie going to have to borrow some warmer clothes or go shopping. You know what I mean?
Oh, he's definitely going to have to borrow some warmer clothes for sure. But you know what? I think this is coming at a good time for him, though, because if you think about it this way, right? So Jamie's just coming in. He knows a few guys on the roster already. Like, he knows Cam York. He's real close with him. He played with him in Michigan. He knows Nick Delorier, played with Nick in Anaheim. He knows crap, who's the third person? Doesn't matter. He knows some people on the roster already, so he's already comfortable. But to play one game in here against Montreal tomorrow night, which we'll preview in a little bit, and then you go on the road and you get to hang out in the hotel rooms with the boys. It's a perfect opportunity for him to, one, learn the system, two, go from being man-on-man defense to zone defense. So that's going to be a little bit of a transition for him. But the opportunity to sit and play with these guys on not just the road, but to get to know them a little bit, have the ability to sit and talk with people. I think it's a good opportunity for him with basically going back on the road real quick after a couple days here. Yeah, I mean, Jamie's gonna fit in quite nice.
I'm back, guys.
Hey,
Hurrah!
It was a quick, and then it had to come back on.
huzzah! Let's hope mine doesn't do that again.
Okay, what were we covering there? Whose comment were we reading?
You're in the same comment. We were just kind of having a little bit of fun.
Oh, okay, got you. So, okay. My opinion, Cutter Gauthier situation. He wasn't happy last year when Danny told him go back to college, get better at hockey. I get it, but at the same time, you got to prove you're ready. That is true.
Right. It's a path Bobby Brink and Noah Cates took with no problem.
Right.
You know, and it seems to be more the trend these days anyway, but, you know, to each your own. And like I said before, if that was your reasoning, okay, I understand it's still handled poorly, though.
I mean, Perot did it. Perot, the Rangers drafted Perot, and they were like, you're not playing here this year. Go to college and play. And he had, by the way, he had a very good tournament as well. He had I think 3 goals. I don't remember how many assists, but he had a pretty good tournament too. And I mean, these guys, they're lucky to even be able to play in the NHL, and that's kind of despicable to do that.
Right.
Really,
Yeah,
it really is. I mean, I get it, but just talk to these guys. If you want to play somewhere, just say, okay, listen, I don't want to play for you. I want to play somewhere else. This isn't for me. Just go out and talk to them. I mean, that's.
I agree. I agree with that. But the only thing I'm going to say is, there. You know what? No, because you know what? I completely agree with you. There's got to be that line of communication there between Cutter and the organization. You can't just cut it off the way that he did. Yes, there's more to this, but you can't. Gabe Perreault, good example. Probably wanted to sign his ELC right away, but they said, no, we want you to get a year of college under your belt. Okay, fine, no problem. This isn't uncommon, but again, it's childish. It's a lack of maturity on Carter's part, and you have to keep that line of communication open. That's the most important thing, especially with development. And you're a young kid.
And who's the other wing who's the other wing? It's on Boston College that I had mentioned it a couple of weeks ago.
Ryan Leonard.
Yeah. I mean, he's in college playing. He's a first round pick. I don't get what the big deal is, and they're both having. I mean, they're all having a lot of fun. Isn't winning the college championship kind of fun?
Mm.
I mean, you can be. I mean, when you're 19 years old, being the big man on the campus is kind of cool, I would think. Yeah, what's so horrible about that? And and basically, learn the game. I mean, it's a big jump. It's from college hockey to pro. Just because you're really good in college hockey doesn't mean anything when you get to the NHL. There's no guarantee Cutter. Listen, one thing I'm going to say about I think the Flyers did fleece him because you know what? Jamie Drysdale has already proven that he can play in the NHL.
Great point.
That's something that you have no idea if Gauthier can play in the NHL. I mean, if you remember a guy by the name of George McPhee, who I think is really known better as a general manager than as a player. Okay,
Well, I guess
he won the Hobie Baker Award. Okay, He never did. I mean, all he did in the NHL was fight. It doesn't mean nothing is for sure until you get there. You don't know how many guys have been in junior hockey that would score 70, 80 goals and never touch an NHL rink.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, you don't really know what this guy's about. Maybe he's just chicken about playing in the East. Who the hell knows? But you know what? You got a really good young defenseman who is very. I would compare him from what I've seen of him. Okay, I would compare him to D'Angelo, except that he's a little bit better defensively than D'Angelo.
Right.
And he can skate. He's very fast.
Well, he's the right shot defenseman, the unicorn, right, Brad? I mean,
yeah, they're hard as hell to get.
Right, exactly. And he could captain this Flyers struggling power play, like I said in the open. He could be who this team, thought Gauthier could be, and really fortify the defense.
Yeah, but he'll be better defensively. He'll be better defensively than Gauthier was too small.
Right.
I mean, this kid.
Well, JB's on the smaller side too, though. He's a little bit on the smaller side too.
5'11", 185.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
He's not 5'9", 170.
Right. Truth.
Okay, and that's. I mean, there's a bit of a difference. You don't have to be a giant. He's big enough. Big enough that he can handle himself.
Oh, he's a talent. He's young. He's only 21, and he's proven in the NHL versus a 19-year-old kid that's not. You think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He scored 30 points in his rookie year as a defenseman.
Right. He can put up the points.
Maybe he didn't do what Quinn Hughes is doing this year. Okay.
Right.
But I mean, that's pretty darn good. And then he had a twin label.
He was a sixth round. He was a sixth in 2020. I mean, so you're talking apples and oranges here between a fifth in 2022 and a sixth round in 2020. So, and basically, you get the draft pick as well. So I get that, but
you got a first round pick. Okay, they traded you a first round pick and a second round pick for a first round pick.
Yeah, for an unproven. So far,
and one's proven.
The only downfall of Jamie right now. The only downfall of Jamie right now is his injury concerns, which are valid. He missed the majority of last year, and then he's already missed a few games this year with a lower body injury. He actually missed the same amount of time as Trevor Zegras, his buddy, and they came back together, which is actually kind of cool. But injury concerns is you have to worry about that with every player.
That could happen to anybody, and the Labrum thing was. I mean, the Labrum thing was not his fault.
No, most injuries aren't anybody else's fault.
That whatever happened was an accident. I mean, it was an accident on the ice. I mean that happens.
I wouldn't put too much concern into his injury history. I mean, he's 21.
Not yet.
He played in it. Well, here's the thing too. He's played in an organization that doesn't really have anybody to protect him. He was, that Anaheim defense got pounded, still gets pounded basically on a nightly basis. They were one of the worst offensive teams for like the last 6 years, and they've given up a crap ton of goals, not necessarily because they're bad, but because they're in a rebuild. They don't have all their young talent is starting to come up now. You had a bunch of fillers like Ilya Lyubushkin, who isn't terrible. He's actually doing pretty well in Anaheim right now. But you're waiting on guys like Pavel Mintyukov. You got Olen Zellweger getting ready to come up. You have Jackson Lacombe, who just came up this year. They have a bunch of young defensemen, and they're all starting to come up. Jamie was just a product of a bad timing on his part. I think he was brought up a little early because of, I think he came up the COVID year. And
he did. Yeah, he
did. He kind of got stuck, and it sucked for him. But you know what? He's in a better situation now.
But he's in a better situation now. Yeah, his second season, he had a huge season.
Yeah, but he was probably the only one. Because that Anaheim team is just so bad.
But that's even better yet. That's even better yet that he could do that on a bad team as a defenseman. I like that guy. I think I think the Flyers did pretty well with that trade. If you have to trade one of your top prospects, and besides, you got Michkov coming up. He's going to be here eventually. So I mean, does it kill you? Does it kill you to have to? Did I pronounce it right?
No, you pronounced it right. I was just laughing that you said eventually.
yeah. No. Eventually, he's going to come up, and so you're gonna have your big score. As I said, this guy, you don't know what this guy's going to do when he comes up. I mean, how many college players have come up and didn't do crap in the NHL? Okay, how about one of the greatest college players ever who became a legend, okay, in the USA Olympics, Mike Eruzione.
Yeah.
What did he do in the NHL? He couldn't make any. He couldn't make a team.
I mean, things look surefire, but you don't know how it's going to play out because there's also the injury factor as well. You know.
Yeah, and you also don't know if he's going to be pulling a Bedard and looking down at the puck, and somebody rings his bell, and then all of a sudden he can't play anymore, or just starts playing a little too cautiously because he's a little intimidated by that. Be interesting, by the way, to see how Bedard comes back and off that hit with Smith.
It will be. But step in for Matty again. He's having technical difficulties. The wind's really picking up down there in South Jersey. So, I'll let you.
Bad. It's bad.
Is it?
Oh, I'm sitting. As you know, I'm a block and a half from the ocean. When I was outside before I could actually hear the ocean, and I'm a block and a half away, and I don't usually hear the ocean from here.
Right. No, understood. Well, hey. Maybe not tonight. Don't go out tonight, but maybe this Friday you want to go out and have a good time, get a good meal, go to Gleason's Bar. It's located at 6700 Mill Creek Ave in Levittown, PA. If you use promo code HUD for 10% off your order whenever you dine in, take out. Maybe you can order online tonight if you still got internet and dine in your home tonight. Gleason's Bar and Steaks.com. That is if you're living in the Philly area and South Jersey. So, boys, let's just go into what remaining thoughts do you guys have in regards to this trade on both sides. Maybe Brian, you give what the Ducks are getting, potentially side, or however you want to phrase it in terms of breaking down this big deal between the Flyers and the Ducks.
Yeah, this is like I said at the beginning of the show, this is a trade that could potentially be really good for both teams involved. You have, again, we discussed Jamie ad nauseum. I will be getting his jersey for the Flyers, by the way. A little bit more on Cutter's side going to Anaheim. Anaheim is in desperate need of scoring. Even with Trevor Zegers is having an off year, just signed a contract. He actually might be out the door next. That's something we'll discuss when there's more information about it. But Cutter's going to a team that needs offense. They need a scoring left winger. They're pretty good. They're pretty good up the middle there as far as youth goes. But scoring wingers are a huge need. I think that if Anaheim can get him signed and get him up immediately, him, Zegras, and McTavish could be a really dangerous line together. Or you can go Cutter, Leo Carlson, and Troy Terry. There's two different ways you can go with this, and it actually really excites me as a fan of both teams that this trade actually happened, because I don't miss out on either or guy now. So, but
the only thing, Brian, is I would really kind of like to see him go to the AHL and at least play a little bit in the AHL and just get used to the pro game a little bit. I mean, he wants to come running to the NHL, bang, bang, bang. What happens if he gets off to a bad start? Is he going to start being a big baby because he gets reduced ice time?
Well, here's the thing.
Why not go to the AHL and just learn the pro game a little bit?
Because in Anaheim, he's got time. Anaheim's not going to be a contender for 2 to 3 years, so he has time to learn the game at the NHL level. That's the big thing versus Philly, where he doesn't really have a spot for himself. He has a spot in Anaheim almost immediately as soon as he signs, because there's so many guys in that lineup right now that they could pull out. Isaac Lundestrom will probably sneeze and be injured next week. So,
Anthony, I think I mentioned that already.
It's just
with Adam Fox. I mentioned that right at the beginning of the program. He was picked by the Flames, and then he got traded to Carolina, and because he wouldn't sign with the Flames, and he all along wanted to sign with the Rangers, and just decided he told Carolina he wasn't going to sign with them either. So Carolina went and got two second-round picks for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's a better fit for Cutter because he has an opportunity to jump right in the lineup versus Philly, where he'd probably have to wait a little bit. I think that was another deciding factor in Cutter wanting to leave too, is maybe he's worried about getting blocked. I mean, I don't see this being a Shane Wright situation where he signs and winds up being a little bit of a flop early on. And that was massive to see that because Seattle won the sweepstakes. He dropped because of his attitude. And now look at him. I'm not even sure he's on the pro roster. I'm not even sure he's on the NHL roster right now. I think he's still in the AHL.
Yeah, but you don't know that could happen to Cutter too.
It could.
That's what I'm saying. As far as the Flyers are concerned, okay, they're getting a sure thing. Okay, the only thing that they have to worry about is, Jamie's young and he got hurt, and with the torn labrum, and you hope that that the labrum doesn't give him any more trouble. That's all. That's
right. You do, but here's the cool thing, Brad, is that the cost is low. They still have 2 more years on his contract after this season for roughly about $2.2 million, because this is his first post ELC contract. So he's got that team control, that low cost, right? But the upside is a top pairing defenseman. You know what I mean? And then you can potentially have 3 or 4 of them on your roster and be, go from a weak potential weakness that was playing above their heads to now a huge strength.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, keep it. I would hope that when Jamie starts playing, I hope they kind of put him with Stahl. Because Stahl's a veteran, he's going to play defense, and
like that pairing.
Yeah, I think it would be a good start for him because Jamie can go and he can execute his offensive play. Stahl is a stay-at-home defensive player. He's not gonna get sore that that he has to stay back and not get a lot of points, and I think he could develop a little better if he starts off with them, and then you see how it goes. If he's ready to do that, that would be perfect.
Right. You would healthy scratch Risto until you deal like Sean Walker or Sealer away.
Risto is too unsteady. Stahl's been through the wars. He's been in the playoffs.
No,
he's won a cup.
You healthy scratch Risto and you put Drysdale with Stahl right there, and then you probably ultimately move one of Nick Sealer or Sean Walker.
Risto is right-handed, isn't he?
What's that?
He's lefty,
Risto right-handed? Oh, he's left-handed? Okay.
Yeah.
I know Stahl is left-handed. I mean, obviously.
Well, the only thing here is he said in his presser after his first practice today that he was paired up with Sanheim. So it's probably going to be a situation where he's going to wind up on a pairing with Sanheim, at least for the Montreal game.
Oh, I like that. If
he plays Montreal. If not, he just got here. They're still trying to figure it out. Torts said they're trying to figure it out, to not ask any questions until he has until he's played a game.
So I would think that he may not play in Montreal just because I would think that they would want him to at least get. Torts is one of those guys that you don't play until you practice. So I don't know. I mean, maybe he'll. Oh, he did practice today.
He got in Philly at 5:45.
Good for him. Good for him.
He's only in Nashville. He wasn't that far.
No, that's true.
Just underpacked.
I get that.
Right.
That. Yeah. I
Just
was like, wait a minute. He got all the way from Anaheim there and he practiced.
Yeah.
How the hell did he get there so fast?
Well, he got to Nashville yesterday afternoon.
So that's like a 2.5 hour flight. So he's
and then Nashville to Philly.
Yeah, that's an easy flight. Okay, but yeah, no, listen, Sanheim is not a bad thing too. I mean, if they want to throw him right into the fire, okay. Yeah, I think the guy is going to be. I think that guy's going to really be a big time defenseman for you guys. He's going to score a lot of points.
Personally, I think being paired up with Sanheim's going to protect him a little bit. That should keep him a little more healthy.
Well, you have Garnett Hathaway and what's his name, the other guy you got from Anaheim, whose name escapes me.
Nick Delorier.
Delorier, thank you. You have them to protect him too, you know.
I know, but I'm just worried about his defense partner. He's going to be more. His defense partner is going to be more concerned about him than his forwards. But Nick Delorier and Garnett Hathaway, when they're on the ice together, will protect them as well. But for when they're not, Sanheim will have the job because Sanheim won't take shit from nobody.
I'd be a little bit more afraid of Delorier, though, if I was a hockey player. Just knowing that, if I mess with him and I'm going to have to deal with Delorier. Delorier might be he might have the belt right now.
We'll see.
It's pretty close.
The champion of the world.
He might be. I mean, listen, Reeves never plays anymore, and he's basically beaten all comers pretty easily this year. So yeah. So
that is
now. Kirk Tyler Cooper Jr. says Risto is a right-hander. So
that's why Drysdale would step in for him so well,
Yeah. So
all right, Robbie, let's hit that commercial when you're ready, brother.
Yes. We're gonna pay some bills, but as we wrap up, as the Flyers swap one hard-to-fill position need for another, now the Flyers need to go out and get themselves a center. So that'll be interesting to see where this goes. See if to Anthony's question he asked about the Flyers may be interested in trading Sean Walker. Well, yeah. If you can get yourself a first or second rounder to draft said center, that would be good. So we're going to take a break. Stick with us. On the other side, we're going to be previewing the Flyers-Habs game on Wednesday, 7 p.m. Stick it right there.
Royal Billiard and Recreation, proudly celebrating 40 years and our new, bigger showroom.
Twice the size and twice the fun.
More pool tables by Olhausen. More dartboard sets, including custom reclaimed backboards. More bar and kitchen stools that can change a room.
And more bars, including pre-built and custom.
Hot tubs, skee ball, shuffleboard, outdoor,
and fun.
Royal Billiard and Recreation, your ultimate game room store. Now located on Bethlehem Pike in Colmar.
In our family, food is our daily bond. My Nonna, affectionately called Mama by many, found solace and joy in the kitchen, sharing her love through delicious creations. She turned her culinary passion into a flourishing business alongside her husband and sons in 1983. Celebrating 40 years is a testament to our exceptional team, friends, family, and beloved customers. With gratitude, we look forward to the future, expanding our brand to share the highest quality Italian food and wine nationwide. Our heartfelt thanks to everyone who has played a part in our story. Grazie mille.
Hats.com is the premier destination for quality and fashion-forward hats and more, with designs for every style and trend. Locally based and run by Philly sports team fanatics, Hats.com can help you elevate your hat John. Utilize the easy-to-use guides at Hats.com to find your perfect size and style, and shipping and returns are free. Hats.com. Find yourself in a hat. Use code Philly for 15% off your order. Hats.com.
Thanks, Pam. Appreciate that word. Appreciate you all sticking with us and tuning in tonight. We got a lot of members commenting in tonight. I've seen a couple like John and Priz in the 28-month member, 30, I think it was 32nd member for John Castelloni. We appreciate you. If you want to be a member here at ATD Radio, it's really easy. For $9.99 a month, you can get some amazing perks, including shout-outs, members-only shows, appearances, and weekly picks from the Money Pop Podcast. Join today. The link's already in the comments for you. Become a member here and get all those perks at a2dradio.com. All right, boys, so let's break down Philadelphia Flyers and the Montreal Canadiens going down at the Wells Fargo Center. This is our second period, and our second period is brought to you by Bellagio's Bread, located in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, home of the best stuffed breads, tomato pie, sandwiches, cutlets, and meatballs. Mention A2D Radio for 10% off your in-store purchase. What are the keys to victory for the Flyers? How do you guys see this shaping up? The floor is yours.
I mean, this Montreal team isn't as bad as I thought they were going to be this year. They're 500. They're at hockey 500, which is honestly really good to see for them.
That's a big improvement,
right? And this is a young team too. If you look at their blue line, it's very young. Got to be able to expose them a little bit with the Flyers' ability to score some pretty crazy goals there with Tippett, Frosty, TK should realistically have a multi-point game tomorrow night. But the one thing that is actually kind of surprising me with this Montreal team is their power play is 18%. They do have some guys to watch out for. So for me, some players to watch is the two obvious suspects. It's Cole Caulfield and Yuri Slavkovsky. He's they're the two big guns that Montreal has right now. But Alex Newhook, newcomer, he's got about 15, 16 points since coming over from Colorado in the offseason. Getting some good play from them. They need to pick up the pace, though, a little bit. Those three specifically, because they're going to be essentially the core that Montreal is going to build around. The one thing, though, is for me is, Montreal's got to figure out ways to score goals here. If they even want to compete with the Flyers and their solid goaltending that they're getting from both Carter Hart and Sam Urson. Goals for percentage is a 2.74. They're going to give up plenty of goals at a 3.44. So pepper the goalie with whoever they're starting, pepper them with shots, get the puck on net, get rubber on net, and next thing you know, you could have a 4-0 lead on this team. But you want to stay out of the box. They're kind of solid on the power play, like I said. Penalty kills at 73%. So, if you can get them taking on discipline penalty, you can probably figure out ways to score some goals and get that power play rolling again. But outside of that, I mean, this is a pretty winnable game for the Flyers. You just got to go out and just not repeat what you did against Pittsburgh last night.
You think the word got out and there's a little shake-up in the locker room, or does it not matter because it's a prospect that never played on your team?
Probably the latter.
Yeah.
There were rumors that Cutter was gonna get traded to Montreal. That he was going to get traded to Montreal for the 5th pick. Because they want. I think they wanted what's the guy's name? Red Blocker, or something like that.
David Reinbacher.
Yeah,
Rosenbagger,
Gardenhoser.
I can't remember the guys. Listen, I'm bad with names, but I'm close enough that Brian.
So we're in the party.
About, and that's the important thing. Somebody at least knows. Their goaltender Monteblanc is pretty good, by the way, guys. He stood on his head against the Rangers. I mean, the Rangers had 50 shots on goal on Saturday night and ended up losing that game 4-3 in a shootout against Montreal. So just be careful, because if you make too many mistakes, they do have a couple of guys that can put the puck in the net. Nick Suzuki, for one, who I think is leading them in every possible offensive statistic right now. He's somebody that you got to watch out for. I think he's got, let's see, what does he have now? He has 12 goals and 22 assists for 34 points. Cole Caulfield is playing well. And Sean Monahan seems to be coming along real well. And I mean, I think he's going to be on the move. And he's, that's a center right there that, who knows? Maybe you guys might end up having him, just for a little late season push. If you don't have to give up, too many assets, he may not be a bad. He'd be a very good choice for the Rangers, by the way.
Yeah.
If Hedl doesn't come back, and that doesn't sound very good right now.
Gotcha.
But he's having a good year. 10 goals, 13 assists, 23 points in 39 games. I mean, that's a 45 point player. How much could you possibly expect to have to give up to get a guy like that? And he's a penalty killer, physical.
Yeah, sure. Me Middle Mike goes, okay, what left winger centers do we have in Lehigh Valley that can fill Cutter's spot? Currently right now with Lehigh Valley, we have all the talent up. Having both Brink and Forster up on the big squad, right? That's your immediate fill. They're already filling in or what have you. But I mean, long term, Mitchkov, if he ever gets over here from Russia, which you got to figure what organization could have that bad of luck with two prospective picks. It could be the Philadelphia Flyers. It very well could be, but let's hope that's not the case here. But there's a lot of talent on this team, like I said, and you're not done. You can make trades, you can get picks, and you can pick in this upcoming draft and really just replace the the prospect there. In terms of this game tomorrow night, I see it going another way. I think Philly looks to step out on home ice and just absolutely control this game based on what's going on right now. I think they could find the back of the net, in my opinion, at will against this Canadiens team. I mean, I'm not denying what you saw the other night, Brad, but I'm seeing 3.44 goals per game being allotted by this team. I think Travis Konechny, Joel Farabee, and the rest of the forward unit that have been really active in carrying the puck in the offensive zone and creating open shots with that cross-ice passes really gives Montreal some fits and get near the net and deposit those pucks. That's how I see the key for victory going down for the Flyers.
Yeah, the Canadians, this guy Montembeault is 9-5, believe it or not, 9-5-3. And he has a 2.93 goals against average. Let's see what else he's got here. 906 save percentage. He's not bad.
Right.
He's really
so
not bad.
Roughly, the other guys must be giving up a lot then, and that's not a high percentage of the games.
Not Josh Allen. What am I saying? Jake Allen has played 14 games. He's 4-8, 3.52, and Caden Primo is 4-4 with a 3.30 goals against average. So this other guy, they've been giving this other guy a chance to play, and he's played significantly better than the other two.
Right.
So I would look to say he's probably going to be in there, but the Canadiens have their deficiencies. I mean, they are not a good penalty killing team. Their defense is big, but it's young, and they give the puck away a lot. And they give up a lot of A+ chances. So, you just got to capitalize on your opportunities. I mean, at least you finally scored some goals against the Flames. So, that to me was a very, very big win for them. At least they got off the schneid. Pittsburgh, right. I mean, look.
Good answer back for losing in their building, too.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a good answer back coming back on a long road trip, too. I mean, it's not easy going on. Listen. Those first games back from long road trips are always tough. How many times do you see a team have a long road trip and then they come first game back home, they come out flat as a pancake and find themselves in trouble after the first period? That's a very, very rough thing to have to go through, but they handled it pretty well. They should win the game tomorrow. I would be, if I was a betting man, I would definitely put money on them to beat Montreal and score 4 to 5 goals. I can see like a 5-2 win. Maybe
I believe I saw the Flyers.
They stick close in that. They stick close. Maybe it's like 3-2 after 2, and then the Flyers break it open in the third.
I like that outcome. And the bettors already, I see it's minus 170 for the Flyers to win. So Vegas is agreeing with you as well. The Flyers, they're only allowing 2.78 goals per game. I think they could really limit the Canadiens' offense, which is averaging about 2.74 goals per game. So that should be balls on accurate, equal there. They'll look to create turnovers in the defensive zone with limiting shots on the net and allowing either goaltender Carter Hart or Sam Harrison. It's not confirmed which. Will be, he'll be making plenty of big saves in this contest. Brian, Brad says that the Flyers win. Do you agree or disagree? Do you have a score or prediction?
I agree. Like I said, this is a very winnable game. I mean, when this team's on the blue line and their veteran leadership is Mike Matheson and David Savard, which I'm not taking anything away, but your rest of your defensive core, young players, you got the advantage if you're the Flyers, especially with the offense that they have. I think Flyers win by a score of 4-2.
4-2.
Yes, sir.
Got it. I see it as well. I'll take it. I'll do you one step better. 4-1. Steal your thunder.
Son of a.
Empty net goal makes it. It was a 3-1 game. Empty net makes it 4-1.
Oh, there you go.
You fat bastard.
All right, boys. Let's move on to the third period. Tonight's third period is being brought to you by our boys Chuck and Ritz over at Alonze Travel, specializing in creating the vacation of your dreams at Disney, Universal, wherever your heart calls you. Man, I just got back from Disney. It was definitely a great trip organized by Alonze. Let their talented team of travel experts create a custom vacation for you without any of the stress. Tell them A2D Radio sent you. Alonze, let's go. AlonzeTravel.com. Take the trip. Boys, we're going to go around the league. You know, the calendars turn to January. You know, everybody's going to make that strong push to be there come March in terms of playoff time. So, you know, we got the standings out here on NHL.com. I can maybe share my screen in a little bit, but we're going to talk a little top 3 contenders and pretenders. Who's in a playoff position that will ultimately be knocked out, and who might be out and look the way to knock their way back in, or at least solidify their current spot now, boys. So, you know, I'm gonna work on sharing my the standings, but I think let's start with top 3 contenders. Feel free to talk amongst yourselves.
All right, so I'm just going to rally off my 3 and explain why real quick, because I know we're getting close. We have roughly, I don't even know, 25 minutes before we got to jump off here and let the Birds of a Feather guys take over. So my top 3 contenders are the Vancouver Canucks, the Winnipeg Jets, and the Toronto Maple Leafs. Yes, I picked 3 Canadian teams. I didn't realize that at the time. But at that point, with all the points that I have, it makes sense on why I picked these 3 teams. So for Vancouver, they've been just all around good this year. They're getting production from all 4 lines. They have one of the best power plays in the league. It's a top 10. Thatcher Demko having a rebound year after kind of struggling a little bit last year. You know, taking over the reins after Jacob Markstrom left for Calgary. Couldn't really get it together. Now he's really starting to put it together for Vancouver. The Rick Tocchet system is really flourishing with some of these younger guys. Elias Pettersson, who they're concerned is going to leave at some point, might re-sign if he hasn't already. I probably missed that news if he did. But, you know, JT Miller, another guy who they were talking about trading last year, you know, he's coming back, having a pretty strong season. This Vancouver team, all in all, is, like I said, rolling on all 4 lines, rolling on the special teams. They're playing some really strong hockey in their first full season with Rick Tocchet at the helm. Winnipeg, it's simple. Their goaltending is carrying them. Connor Hellebuck is having an outstanding season, bringing in what's his name, Brassard from Vegas after having a disappointing injury during the playoff run to kind of let somehow a 4th string goaltender win the Stanley Cup for Vegas. But you know, Mark Scheifele, Kyle Connor when he's healthy, Nick Ehlers, they're all doing their thing. Strong defense led by Josh Morrissey over there in Winnipeg. Good team up front. Question was going to be where they are on the standings. Is Connor Hellebuck going to go? Is Mark Scheifele going to go? Both are staying put. Both are leading the Central Division right now. Well, I shouldn't say both, but the team is leading the Central Division right now, and I don't see them letting that up anytime soon with the way that their goaltending is producing right now. And as for Toronto, I think they finally figured out their goaltending woes after waiving Ilya Samsonov, calling up Dennis Hildeby, who is a really good goaltender. Hasn't played yet for Toronto, at least not from the stats that I've seen. In the AHL, playing 15 games with that organization. He is, I couldn't get a record. I couldn't get many other stats except he's got a 2.2 goals against and a 919 save percentage in 15 games to the AHL. Promising. They have a lot of faith in this kid, and they're going to need to rely on him heavily come playoff time if he's as good as people think that he is, I should say. But that's my top 3 contenders.
I like it. I think I share at least one similarity with you there, Brian. But before I go, Brad, who's your top 3 contenders?
The Canucks. Unfortunately, Brian and I agree on that. The Canucks are really strong, and you got to look at it this way. Demko right now is having the Vezina type year, and I mean, last night I watched the Rangers play Vancouver, and the difference in the game was clearly Demko outplaying Shesterkin because the Rangers had 40 shots on goal and they could not take advantage. The guy stood on his head. I mean, he played an incredible game, and Vancouver can score. And if you make one mistake, they're going to jump all over you. And as evidence, just ask the Islanders tonight. They're getting blown out. It's 4-1 after 2 periods.
Nice.
So,
Little sneak peek there on my Contenders list. Go on.
Okay, and the
Tease.
okay, the Florida Panthers, who in my opinion are really good. Really good. They're fast. They can score. Reinhardt, my buddy, he is having a phenomenal season. And you know what? They're doing this, and really, Kachuk hasn't even gotten going yet. If you take a look at his numbers, he's not really scoring right now, and they're still on a hot roll, and they're playing real good hockey right now. And third is the Rangers. I think the Rangers continue to play well. They have had a couple of tough losses against some good teams. But I feel like they're not going to have any problems. They're going to win this division, and they're going to do what they have to do. And they don't really have a clear weakness.
I see a lot
That
of
would be my
questions.
3 contenders right now.
Yeah,
so real-
they battled and came out of it, the ups and downs of the NHL season. You know, I mean, they've been, in the New York papers both in a positive and negative way, and they continue to lead the division, as you can see there on your screen.
Well, they've also had a lot of injuries this year too.
Sure,
I mean,
right.
and they, they're still there.
Right,
They're still
and any
right. They're
contender
still-
needs to be able to battle back from injury. It's part
Yeah,
of
I
the
mean,
game.
they lost Fox for a month. They lost Shesterkin for a month. They
Right.
haven't had Kako for over a month now. Hedel hasn't played since the end of October, and believe me, Hedel and Kako, they missed those two guys, especially Kako defensively. You take a look at Blake Wheeler right now, okay, and he has a new nickname at Madison Square Garden, and it's not a nice one. It has to do with his skating. They call him Wheelchair Wheeler.
Oof.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
Ouch.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
no.
Listen, I never said my fan base was nice. we all, yeah. It is what it is. But Wheeler now has a nickname, and Barclay Goodrow hasn't been playing well. He's, instead of being called Barclay Goodrow, his nickname now is Barclay Badrow. So.
Well, it's why it's key to have depth, and a lot of these contending teams are going to have that.
You know
depth.
what? But bottom line is, and as much as I joke about stuff like that, they're still right at the top of the league.
Sure.
And they'll be fine. I'm not concerned at all about the recent 8-7-1 record. They'll be okay. They've won a lot of games against a lot of real good teams, and they'll be fine.
Sure.
Absolutely. Those are my 3 contenders.
Cool. I'll drop my 3 real quickly, boys. There's a couple repeats. I don't know how popular my list is going to be because it starts with my number 3, and that's the Pittsburgh Penguins. They're 7-2-1 over their last 10 as they creep back toward a wild card spot, and they're finally healthy too. And I read this awesome article in the Athletic about Sidney Crosby. He's not performing like he did in his elite years, but he's still a damn good player at his age when he's got really nothing left to prove. So due respect calling it down to even. I think this is a team that could secure themselves a wild card spot when all is said and done. I know, Brian, you mentioned them. I'm not sure, Brad, did you also mention Winnipeg as well?
No. I have them as one of my flawed teams, but I don't have them as a pretender. I have them as flawed with
somewhere in between, in limbo. I got you.
As not fraud, but flawed with the L.
Flawed. I got you. Well, they're relying on defense and goaltending. To Brian's point, it's gotten them an 8-0-2 record over their last 10 and a gorgeous plus 38 goal differential. I mean, Hellbeck's working towards another Vezina. So, I mean, if he continues along this path, you got to like the Jets' chances. But,
I don't think it's sustainable.
Right.
They don't score, being offensively, I'm trying to think of a nice word. Being offensively insufficient is going to start happening because they don't have enough guys that can score on this team. They're doing it now, but how long is this going to continue?
The hell was that? Sorry.
That's true. Well, as you see on your screen, 26-9-4, 56 points on the season. You know, in a dogfight there for the Central Division crowd. Coming back to the Metro.
Take a look at their goals. Take a look at their goals for, though. Winnipeg. How many
132.
132?
Yeah, it's low.
Is that sustainable?
Record?
No, offense.
Offense. I think so. I think the offense is because I think that's kind of down. If you look at it, like, of course, the league, you know.
I'm not sold on them at all.
I got you. But I mean, that's the way it could be. Is that I don't see them.
Defense and goaltending can win a cup, but I think that they need Connor back, and I just don't think unless he comes back and starts scoring a lot, and they need to pick up a wing in addition to him that can score. I just don't think they have enough.
Connor, you said? Kyle O'Connor?
Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, that was a loss. Yeah.
That's a big loss, and they need him back. And I think in addition to him coming back, I think they need yet another winger that can score.
Right. Well, that could give them the boost that they need if they get on the right side of health. But moving to my number one top contender, Carolina Hurricanes. They've been looking a lot like themselves recently. We've talked about that on the past couple shows. Certainly battling there. Going to be one of the top three in the Metropolitan. That's a given. Rod Brendamore's crew. I think, they work hard, they play hard, and they'll be a contending factor in the playoffs come yet again. As we move into our overtime period where we'll talk top three pretenders. That's being brought to you by, you heard about it in the middle of the show. I'm going to give some love to Eagles legend Brian Dawkins. In 2018, he was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And to commemorate this moment, B-Doc designed and launched an exclusive collaboration with Bowman Hat Company, America's oldest hat maker, on hats.com. Brian's love of hats and the Eagles were on proud display in Canton, and now you can find yourself in that same iconic Hall of Fame fedora. I believe Anthony in the comments and his boys already hit up hats.com, so they know. Just go to hats.com, search Brian Dawkins, and use the code Philly for your 15% off your order, and that's at hats.com. Brian, let's take it back to you, brother. Top three pretenders.
All right. I'm backtracking real quick because Mike wants my thoughts on his.
Yeah.
His real quick. I mean, I have no issues with Vancouver, Florida, or Colorado. I mean, all three teams make sense. Only thing with Colorado is I just don't think Georgiev is going to be the guy to sustain it. But, I mean, that Colorado defense is really good. That team just in general is really good. Florida, Florida's just another team that's playing really well right now. They're just consistent with Paul Maurice at the helm, and we already discussed Vancouver real quick. But my three contenders here are and I know guys are asking about Matty. Matty's having internet issues. He's probably not going to make it back. I don't even think his internet came back on. Like I said, although some of these jokes are really funny, we got a really bad wind and rainstorm going on right now in the Jersey area. If you're not in this area, it's really bad, like gusting at 60 plus miles an hour. But anyway, pretenders. My three pretenders are, I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Lightning as a pretender. This is a team that's starting to show their age a little bit, regardless of the fact that they still have one of the most potent power plays in the league. That's going to continue to thrive as long as you still have Stamkos, Kucherov, Braden Point, Brennan Hagel, Victor Hedman, They're just still a really stacked team. There goes Brad.
Oh damn!
Yeah, we're dropping like flies, Robbie.
I'm hearing the wind just rustle behind me as well. It's vicious, but I'm glad we could get out to the fam tonight, or else we were doing a video.
Yeah, pretty much.
In case you missed it, we talked all about the big trade that went down between Anaheim and Flyers. You can check it out. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever you get your podcast, download it, listen to it at your leisure. We got into the heart of it. I really, really enjoyed that conversation, Brian.
Yeah, it's really great. I mean, we've been steady 21 viewers all night. I love it. Keep the comments rolling in. You guys are great. But the Tampa Bay Lightning is having goalie issues right now. Vasilevsky has not been the goaltender that he usually is. So he's got a goals against above over 3, which is not very good for him. And then the young backup goalie, I forget his first name, but Johansson, he's having issues as well. So maybe they're having issues on the back end with the defense.
That would be my guess.
Yeah, because you don't know. Yeah, like I said, it's been a tough little bit of a year for them, not having Vasilevsky to start the year, finding themselves in a hole, can't dig themselves out of.
I don't think he ever shed that rust from being out. Jonas Johansson,
no.
That's who it was.
Jonas Johansson,
I remember too, because when we originally came with this concept of Contenders and Pretenders, this was when Tampa Bay Lightning were in a playoff spot, I believe, in the first or second wild card situation, and I didn't like their chances of keeping that. And I agree with you, Brian. I had them as a pretender too, and obviously now they're in 6 behind the Detroit Red Wings. Looking up at a lot. I mean, it's a logjam there. There's a lot. What do you talk about? What, between the Hurricanes and the Lightning being a difference of 6 points?
Mm-hmm.
Then you have a drop off there to the Canadiens. But I mean, look, Tampa Bay Lightning's closer to the Canadiens than they are to a playoff spot.
Yeah, which is crazy.
That speaks volumes.
Yeah, it does speak volumes about this organization. But again, they're still a great power play team, but defensively, they're ranked 27th in the NHL right now for goals allowed at a whopping 3.49. That is not Tampa Bay Lightning hockey. The second one I have is the New York Islanders, which I think Brad will appreciate. I just don't see it sustaining. They are playing very well on the blue line. You have Semyon Varlamov and Ilya Sorokin playing pretty damn well in net, like they usually do. Keeping them in a lot of games, but I just think they lack the offensive depth to really make a deep run. I mean, Matthew Barzal, Anders Lee, Kyle Palmieri's fallen off. Bo Horvat is starting to find his groove with the Islanders, but he's not the guy he was in Vancouver. It's just there's a lot of holes in this Islanders offense that could be addressed during the trade deadline. I mean, they got J.J. Padro a couple years ago. It has a great year with Ottawa. Kind of hasn't really sniffed past the third line since. But the Islanders, I think, are a pretender. I think they're going to wind up falling back. But, again, it's not going to be because of defense or goaltending. They're pretty elite there. It's going to be because of a lack of goal scoring. And then with Arizona, I have them as a pretender. They're playing pretty solid hockey right now. But I just think they lack a lot of experience, and I think the positive play is going to eventually fall off. Because, again, like some of these other rebuilding teams that we're seeing, you see a nice chunk of really good play, and they got really good play from their goaltender Connor Ingram earlier in the year when they went on the run to beat, like, what was it, 6 of the previous Stanley Cup champions, which was pretty cool for him. But in that same breath, it's still a young team in front. They're starting to fall off a little bit now, but a lack of experience, it's gonna hurt this team. They're just gonna continue to be a roller coaster ride, and they're just gonna be up and down the rest of the year, ultimately to miss the playoffs.
Matty knows about log jams. That's funny.
Oh, Jesus Christ, Joey.
Joey, come on.
That's funny. Oh, Joey.
So. All right, Brad, let's get to your list. Your top 3 pretenders, brother. You're done, Brian, right? I didn't cut you off. Cool.
No, you're good.
Okay. Sorry to have to tell you this, Brian. The Leafs, number 1.
Okay.
Okay, sorry, that goaltending still until I see a goalie who can actually make a big save in the playoffs. Okay, I am not falling for the Leafs again. I fell for them last year. Not no more. Okay, after they made that big statement when they beat the crap out of the Rangers at Madison Square Garden. Then a week later, the Rangers go to Toronto and return the favor. I'm not falling for that.
They're smoking the Sharks right now, though, 7-1. But that's the Sharks. Go on.
Doesn't everybody?
Yeah, pretty much.
Like that doesn't count.
No.
Yeah, true.
That doesn't count.
True.
Okay. I'm not falling for it. Okay. Yeah. And the fact that they just spent $11.5 million a year on another player that's when they need another goalie and they need another defenseman just makes me laugh. Like, what the hell is wrong with you people? Do you not you try the same thing over and over again and it doesn't work, and yet you're going to continue to keep trying to do the same thing over and over again. And guys, it's not going to work. Get a goalie. Spend the money on a goalie. Why do you insist on having to score 100 more goals than everybody else when you still can't stop anybody? Don't get it, guys. Don't get it. Secondly, the Islanders, who you stole my thunder with the Islanders, but
Me as well.
Score enough, and that's going to come back to cost them. They're also old, and I fear with all old teams that injuries will become a problem in the second half of the season, and they'll be lucky to make the playoffs, period. And my last pretender is the other Canadian team, the Edmonton Oilers, who are another clown team with no goaltending and no defense that, when they start scoring a lot of goals, they destroy bad teams. And as soon as they play a good team, like, the Canucks or Los Angeles or, Winnipeg or some of these other teams that are good defensive teams, they'll lose. And that's just what's going to happen. I have no faith at all in them. So
Truth.
I call them a pretender as well.
Well, apparently I cheated off your list, Brad, because I have it verbatim.
Really?
Yes, I do. I have the Maple Leafs as well. No goaltending per usual, to your point. I mean, you're looking at
Rob,
a try.
I wrote it all down. I'm covering it up.
I cheat. I lie. I cheat. I steal. It's well known.
Listen, we have smart minds think alike. I don't know what to tell you.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a pretty clear-cut case. I mean, you look at, all right, the guy that they wanted, Ilya Samsonov, he said to the minors, you can't stop a beach ball right now, just like Jack Campbell for the Edmonton Oilers. 2 on your list, 2 on my list. Now left in Toronto, you got Joseph Wall, who's been playing well, but he's a young player, third-round pick, I believe he was a third-round pick, playing to a tune of 8-0 on the season, with a 280 goals against, a 916 save percentage. That's going to affect as it gets down the home stretch towards the playoffs. And then Martin Jones to back him up, not interested. Dennis Hiddleby, not interested. So it's going to be the same old story for the Leafs. No goaltending, even if they do, make the playoffs. Edmonton Oilers, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs for the same reason. Just no goaltending. A lot of disconnection in that organization. And New York Islanders, you guys talked about them at nauseum. They're 4-4-2 in their last 10 with a -9 goal differential. I think the slide is already on. Even though
it's going to be 4-5-2 after tonight.
Right. Well, if you I think that
unless you think
you
think they have 4 goals in them.
Nah.
If you think they could score 4 goals against the Canucks in the last 14 minutes of the game, then okay,
right.
But don't think so.
Right, absolutely.
Not when the Canucks have the puck in their zone just about the whole time, I'm sorry I'm laughing, but it's the Islanders, so.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They probably have a lot of aches and pains being such an aging team. Maybe they should go check out our show sponsor, and that's Dr. Paul Vidal at Specialized Physical Therapy LLC. Again, I'll remind you, fam, if you're just joining us or you joined us late, with 2 locations in Burlington, Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Check out our doc. Make them yours. SpecializedPhysicalTherapy.com. If you did join us late, this has been an awesome show. And not because Maddie's not here, because we love Maddie. I'm glad he was able to jump in for a little bit and have his voice be heard on this big deal. But if you just joined us late and you want to get, the ins and outs, like I said, you can check us on replay on Facebook, on YouTube, on Periscope, via X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. You want to download us, you can download us wherever you download your podcast. It's been a fun show, boys. I think we're going to jump off a couple minutes early and let the birds of the feather kind of, take the leads and be able to go on time, or somewhat on time. I guess it's 9:32 at this point. But Kyle Elliott, thanks for shouting in tonight. Shout out to all the teams that spent a ton of money signing guys trying to win, only to have the Flyers in a playoff spot after announcing a rebuild. Awesome way to close it out. All right, for Brad Ryer, Matt Sudi, Brian Daly, Rob Povey, we'll check you next week here on A2DRadio.com. Be well.